Chapter 10. Annie parked the Hummer at the bottom of the drive and killed the lights. "What are you doing?" Rebecca asked. "I'm creating the element of surprise," Annie said. "If someone is in the house, it would be better if they didn't see us coming." "Shouldn't we run the other way?" Petal said. "No," Annie said. "There are 8 of us. Whoever might be up there can't catch us all at once. We could probably overpower whoever it is, or at the very least, some of us would be able to get away to tell the tale." "You don't make that sound very encouraging," Georgia said. "Maybe we'd be better off calling the police. Or maybe we could smoke the person out with the fire," Rebecca suggested. "I keep telling you," Annie said, ignoring Rebecca, "the police can't help people like us. They're not equipped to handle kids getting kidnapped. They're equipped to handle kids getting kidnapped, but not parents getting parent-napped." "What about Pete?" Georgia pressed. "He comes when we call." "True," Annie said, but then we saw a shrug in the dark of the car. "But he now knows that we're on our own. If we call him, he'll rethink leaving us that way and turn us into the coppers." "What are we going to do then?" Marcia asked. "We're going home," Annie said simply. Then she got out of the car, inviting us all to do the same. "I'm not dressed for walking up the driveway in new snow," Petal said. "I don't like to complain," Zinnia added, "but I am sliding around." "Hold on to each other's hands," Annie advised, starting a chain. "If we hold on to each other, we'll hold each other up." "Or," Rebecca said, "one of us will fall, bringing the rest down with her like dominoes." But she took hold of George's hands just the same. And now our chain of 8 stretched across the whole driveway. "We're like a line of linebackers," Marcia said with a nervous giggle. "Or a line of cut-out paper dolls," Zinnia said. "Or a line of idiots," Rebecca said. "Shh," Annie whispered. "We're getting closer." Now that we were practically upon the house, we sensed that something was wrong. "There are no lights on," Marcia observed. "If it wasn't for the moonlight, we wouldn't be able to see anything. It's too dark." "Of course it's dark," Annie hissed. "We didn't leave any lights on." "But why didn't we?" Jackie asked. "What are we, nuts?" "We may be," Annie said, "but that's not it. We didn't leave any lights on because we thought we'd be coming home in the daylight. We didn't plan on someone sabotaging the Hummer." "So what will we do if we go in?" Marcia asked. "Will we leave the lights off in case the intruder, if there is one, is still there? Maybe we could bark like a pack of mean dogs to scare the intruder off," suggested Rebecca. "Don't be daft," Annie said, ignoring Rebecca. "How will we find anything in the dark? Besides, if we leave in the dark, someone could sneak up behind us." We were on the stoop now. We waited, scared, as Annie slowly turned the doorknob. As she turned it, we heard a flutter. In the moonlight, we saw a carrier pigeon, perhaps the one who visited us before, circle the house and then fly away. "I wonder what he wanted," Dorinda said, watching him go. "I guess we'll never know," Annie said. Then she opened the door. The moonlight revealed a delegation of 8 cats waiting for us right inside the door. This was not unusual. We'd been gone longer than planned, and they were probably hungry. Either that, or they were planning to lodge another complaint about the condition of the human toilets. "Meow," Anthrax said as soon as they were in the door. "Yes, I know you're hungry," Annie whispered, "and we'll feed you as soon as we can, but we need to take care of something first." "Meow," Anthrax said more violently as Annie switched on the lights. "Really," Annie started to say. "I promise we'll—" But Zinnia cut her off. "She's not complaining about hunger," she said. "She's trying to tell us something else." "How would you know?" Rebecca scoffed. "I suppose you think the cats are talking to you again?" But Annie ignored Rebecca's scoffing of Zinnia, even if Zinnia didn't. "Let's look around," Annie said. "We need to investigate each room." "Shall I run ahead and get your spear for you?" Georgia offered. We'd noticed that Georgia had changed somewhat. She could still be as testy as Rebecca, but it was as though seeing Annie take charge of the household had caused a grudging admiration to grow in her. "No, thank you," Annie said. "If you run ahead without us, you might get yourself killed." That shut Georgia up. That shut all of us up. We were that scared. The front room was the obvious first room to investigate because, well, it was right there. "Daddy and Mommy are missing," Marcia observed with a cry. "Of course they're missing," Georgia said, proving that while she might now admire Annie, she didn't necessarily admire the rest of us. "They've been missing for weeks." "Or dead," Rebecca added. "I didn't mean that," Marcia said. "I mean Daddy Sparky and Mommy Sally." She indicated the spot near the window where they'd spent most of the time. "They're not there." "That's because we moved them to the drawing room so they could have tea while we were at Will's party," Georgia said. "Don't you remember?" "Oh, right," Marcia said. It was obvious at a glance that nothing had been disturbed, but something was still wrong. The cats were going crazy. As we tried to move through the front room to the rooms beyond, they kept circling our feet and tripping us up. "What is the matter with all of you?" Annie said, in her annoyance, speaking louder than she had been. "Now look at what you've done. You've made me speak too loudly, as a result of which the jig is probably up." Anthrax would normally have been cowed by the tone in Annie's voice, but instead she continued to meow loudly, as though she were really trying to tell us something. "What is it?" Annie hissed. Anthrax tilted her head upward, making a great show of inhaling. She kept doing it, flaring her nostrils each time. I really do think she's trying to tell us something, Zinnia offered. Yes, but what? I think she wants us to try doing what she's doing, Zinnia said, tilting her own head upward. Maybe then we'll find out. Feeling ridiculous, we all did what Anthrax and Zinnia were doing. At first, we smelled nothing. Perhaps a long walk up the driveway had interfered with our sense of smell. Could our nostrils be frozen? But then, there it was, the faint odor of... What was that? Fruitcake, Annie said with certainty. I smell fruitcake. Are you quite sure? Marcia asked. But that's not possible. You threw out the fruitcake Wicket brought us right after she... The Wicket brought us right after she left that night. The odor should be long gone. She turned to Dorinda. Haven't you taken out the trash since then? Of course, Dorinda said. What kind of slob do you take me for? Annie, with Anthrax at her side, led us toward the kitchen, our noses sniffing the air all the while. But when we got there, it was like playing the game, too hot, too cold, and the scent was almost non-existent. Let's try the other rooms, Annie suggested. And so we moved on, noses in the air, turning on lights as we went. We checked the drawing room, cautiously peeking our heads around the corner, one head topping the next, from shortest to tallest. We were relieved to find Daddy Sparky and Mommy Sally still having tea. The scent seemed slightly stronger than in the front room, but we looked around and couldn't see anything that had been disturbed. Check behind the loose stone to see if another note or something has been left there, Jackie suggested. But when we looked, there was only empty darkness. Next, we tried Daddy's study with similar results. A stronger scent than in the front room, but no disturbances. We checked winter, spring, summer, fall. There was nothing except for in summer where the cats had apparently used the beach sand there as litter box in a sign of protest. Let's check upstairs next, Annie said. But shouldn't we first? Jackie started, but Annie cut her off. No, Annie said. We'll leave that room, and we all knew which room she was talking about, for last. But upstairs the scent was dead cold. No fruitcake aroma at all. Not to mention the cats were going crazy again. They kept circling us, jerking their little heads toward the hallway and the stairs. They were looking at us like we were crazy or stupid. I guess there really is no avoiding it any longer, Annie said, and we followed once again as she and Anthrax led us all back downstairs. Once we were at the bottom, Annie placed her hand on George's arm. The tone of total seriousness said, "Please get the spear now," which Georgia did, looking very grim. With Annie armed ahead of us, we at last approached the closed door to Mommy's study. It was the one room in the house that our parents had never allowed us to roam through freely, and since they disappeared, or died, other than briefly checking on it New Year's Eve, we'd avoided it like, well, the plague, or at the very least, a nest of hornets. Even though our parents were gone, we couldn't disobey their strictest orders. We might eat pink frosting straight from the can, or drive their car, but we wouldn't go in Mommy's private study. But now we had to. There was no other choice. The smell there was the strongest it had been yet. More, there was a cold draft coming from beneath the closed door. It hasn't been cold like this back here before, Dorinda said. I'm sure I'd have noticed it when I vacuumed the hallways. This is no time to defend your cleaning practices, Annie whispered, as she slowly turned the knob on Mommy's study door. But as she pushed the door open, some force on the other side shoved it closed. Annie turned the knob again and pressed back against the door with all her might and wedged the door open half an inch. The force on the other side pressed harder and it slammed shut. Not even thinking of the danger, we threw our bodies against a closed door, helping Annie push. All we knew was we needed to get in. This time we succeeded in pushing the door open a full inch, but the force on the other side must have been very strong, for the door then slammed shut, and we heard the click of a lock. Quick, get the key, Annie commanded to anyone. Jackie raced off and quickly returned to the key. The key turned with ease, and this time the door gave easily as we pressed against it. The smell hit us as soon as the door was opened, a smell of fruitcake, so big and awful we gagged. Worse, the light on Mommy's desk was on, and the window behind the desk was wide open. The wind made the sheer white curtains, dance into the room. We all tried to settle our racing hearts and not think that just a short time ago a stranger, possibly a dangerous stranger, had been in our home in this very room. It had been so long since anyone had been in there, a fine layer of dust covered everything. There were even cobwebs in the corners, but the purple walls still looked pretty. I'll need a ladder to get to see to those, Dorinda said to the cobwebs. Never mind that now, Annie said. But, Petal said, aren't we in danger? I don't think so, Annie said. At least not at the moment. Whoever was in here must have escaped by that window. But they could come back at any time, Jackie said sensibly, and then we'd be in danger again. True, Annie admitted, but they're not here right now. The danger has passed for the time being. Look, even the cats are calm again. It was true. Despite the overwhelming smell of fruitcake in the air, the cats looked peaceful now, all but Anthrax, settling themselves in for a nice nap in various spots around the room. "What's this?" Annie said. She had moved to the other side of Mommy's desk to close a window. She bent down and picked up the manila envelope from the floor. She showed us the front. In big red block letters that almost screamed, it said, "Top Secret." Annie opened it, spreading the leaves outward, but nothing fell out. It was empty.